What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. We have a special one today. We have a Friday the 13th special. I mean, Friday the 13th doesn't come around a lot, but when it does, I usually try to do some kind of special video. You saw me do rankings, then we did rankings with Dead Pit. Wes did a ranking. UB did a ranking. So we're kind of like, what do we do this year? What can I do this year? Years ago, Wes and I did like a Friday the 13th physical media history. Well, you know what? A lot has come out since then, since the last time we did this, which was, I think, probably 2020. And, I wanted to bring you on, Christian, over at Planet CHH, because if anybody has more Friday the 13th stuff, physical media wise, in their collection, it's you. So hopefully you can help me kind of fill in the gaps here, because I know when it comes to collecting physical media, you're a big Friday the 13th collector. So this is going to be cool.
Yeah, I've got a problem. I have no problem admitting it. Serious
Which is funny because you're a bigger Elm Street fan, but there's something about Friday that you just love the releases, right?
I think in 5 years I'll probably swap. Most people call me a fraud anyway. They say, "Dude, you're a Friday guy," and I am. Like it's like my 1A, but collecting Friday is more fun than Elm Street. I have no problem admitting that. For me, collecting Friday stuff there's a serotonin hit I get every time, and there's such a rich history. And I look at Paramount as being a company that has given customers so much options. People call it milking, and that's fine. But to me, it's just like if your house burned down and you had to start collecting again, Paramount will have you covered. You can easily re-get the Friday the 13th movies in multiple ways. So, and I love that. So I love collecting Friday. Big time.
Yeah, and you're still pretty much getting everything that comes out, right? When it comes to that franchise.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, again, we're going to try to dial it back to the beginning. Obviously, it started, as far as I know, in the VHS days. And, back in the day, I had, my collection of VHS, which luckily I kept. So as we kind of bring this out, in 1988, Paramount did release VHS tapes of the Friday films that they had at the time. But then in 94, they re-released it again.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at the ones that I have, they're actually all the 94 ones. None of these are the original 88 pressings. And there's a reason that you can tell. So, for instance, I'll take the first one out. This is the 94 VHS. I mean, it's still pretty sought after, in good condition. Now, everything about this is exactly the same as the 88 release, except I think it said Paramount like here in the corner, like in like almost like a blue stamp.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was like the real difference between all these releases. It had that little Paramount stamp here. And this was also kind of a partner with a company. I don't know if you know about this, Gateway. It says on the side of each one. Other side says Paramount. This side says Gateway, which I don't think was what the 88 versions of the VHS say.
Yeah, I think you're right. This is also a Gateway that I have right here, and I do know that it's got the originals have that blue Paramount at the bottom for sure. I can promise you that.
But man, talking about Friday the 13th, like for me, it's my favorite of the big three franchises. It always has been. And I don't know, like you said, if it was just a nostalgia thing with me seeing this for the first time on Saturday morning, a bunch of these movies. My uncle showing me bits and pieces of these as a little kid. But I think just the camp vibe alone, like I really just love. And I think that why I love Friday as a whole is because they found a formula and they didn't really stray too far from it. So a lot of people say, oh, they feel the same. And I don't know if that's why I kind of dig them, because I can tell each one apart, but they didn't really mess with the formula until we got a little bit later on into the franchise. They tried to mix things up. They realized it didn't really work that well. And, they kind of went back to what was working, but that's why I think I love it so much. And I don't know if it's just the simplicity of it. I'm not even sure, but Jason never got hokey or anything like that. So I don't know if it's that or what, but for some reason, I think that this is ultimately my favorite of the big three. It always has been. And like you said, what were your first times, remembering seeing these movies? Was it VHS? Was it on TV? Was it DVD?
So I definitely saw Jason X in the theater. And so I was born in 92. So I begged my mom to let me see that. And I knew for my generation, which is the middle to latter end of the millennials, you couldn't know, you couldn't not live on planet Earth and not know Jason, Freddy, Michael. I dare say most of my peers knew the name Jason before Friday the 13th. Like Jason kind of
Mhm.
trumped the actual title. So I remember begging my mom to see Jason X, and that was 2001 or 2. Scared the shit out of me. When you're that young, there's nothing funny about Jason X, right? There's no humor in it. So it terrified me, but we got through it. My mom actually refused to take me to see Freddy versus Jason because she was like, no, I remember what happened with you, blah, blah, blah. But before that, I never saw the movies in top to bottom. I would see bits and pieces. And what I do remember, I've looked online for years. I can't find it. It was 1999 or 1998, 99, probably 98. I went to Kmart with my mom, and it was around Halloween time, and there was a plastic log cabin display that had Friday the 13th VHS tapes on it for parts like 1 through 4, maybe 5. I can't remember how many there were, but I've looked online to try to find what it was. I can't find it anywhere. I've literally spent hours online trying to find it. But that was my first time actually learning about the title of what is this? And that's what my mom was like, oh, that's Jason. Don't mess with those, because when you're that young, just touching a VHS tape can apparently scare the kid. So my mom would tell me not to mess with those. So I didn't actually, I don't hide this. It's kind of embarrassing, but it is what it is. I didn't actually watch Friday the 13th, the actual movie top to bottom, the first one, until 2010 when I got into horror legitimately. And so, and then I rented all of them from Blockbuster. And that's
Mm.
how I actually watched them. But I knew who the character was, and I saw Jason X as a kid. So that's my history, as strange as it is, and as kind of lopsided as it is.
Well, you know what's funny is because there's so many of them, and I guess when you were born, it really is tough to kind of see them in numerical order. Especially as a kid at a video store, sometimes you want to rent Friday the 13th. One was gone. You're just like, I'll just get this one and check it out. And it's funny because it makes me feel super old, man. Because like it's weird to say, Jason X was the first Friday the 13th I ever saw in theaters as well, which is wild. But
But you
the
drove there.
distance between yeah, but I drove there, and I think I had to have been in college when it came out. And but what's funny is it was such a big distance from Jason Goes to Hell. I was too young. I begged my mom to go see Jason Goes to Hell. I begged my mom to go see Jason Takes Manhattan, because those are the two that I remember, like the hype and the commercials, and seeing the chrome mask, and seeing Jason on Arsenio Hall promoting Manhattan. It was like, holy shit, like I need to go see this movie. So I
Yeah.
always knew who he was, the hockey mask killer. Like I always knew who Jason was. My uncle showed me bits and pieces of part 3 as a little kid, because he was trying to explain to me how cool the 3D was and stuff. And I ended up catching a lot of these on TV back in the day. Like they did like a full marathon, probably around Halloween. And I just sat there and watched them. And I remember after a couple hours, as I'm watching them, kids from the neighborhood are popping over. We're all sitting watching them. And then finally my mom's like, all right, go outside, after like 3 hours. Then we rode our bikes to this other kid, Chris's house, went in his house, started continuing to watch the marathon. So, it was like a whole Saturday. We watched a lot of these movies. And then when I got a little older, probably, I think I might have been a freshman in high school, we rented every one of these VHS tapes from Blockbuster and went to my friend Mark's house and did like a complete marathon up until Jason Goes to Hell. And what we did was we had like a piece of paper, and
Uh-huh.
we wrote like each movie, and then how many kills, what were the kills, male, female, and like we tallied up everything at the end. And we literally stayed up all night and watched from part 1 all the way to the next morning when his parents were coming down for breakfast, and the scene of the chick in the tent in like Friday, and Jason Goes to Hell's going on, and
Oh
I see
God.
them, like they're like making breakfast, and like I can see them, but like the TV's facing us, and we're in the living room, and I was like, oh shit. So my friend like
Man.
turned the volume down, because I mean I think we were like, I don't know, 14 or something like that. But such a cool experience, and it's wild when specific movies can bring you back to a time and to a place where you can remember, like you said, being in Kmart and being like, fucking saw that diorama. I know I
Yeah.
did. And it's like embedded in your brain the same way, like I said, is like the marathoning of these movies. For the first couple times I watched them front to back, I can remember like it was yesterday as well. It's wild, man. Now, when it comes to the VHS, do you own all these on VHS as well?
No, I'm missing a couple. I'm a LaserDisc guy, you know, so
Mhm.
that's where I started to get my vintage formats for stuff for those movies.
So this is perfect because I don't have any laser discs. So I have all the VHS. Again, I collected them as I was growing up, in my teens after we did that marathon. And the one thing about Friday, and I even think, I'm trying to think, I guess I could say that for the big three, but more or less the poster art for these originals, Friday, Elm Street, even Halloween, I'll say, are just fucking iconic, man. Like, you know, I'm trying to think like, even Halloween 4 or 5, like iconic posters.
Yeah.
When I'm looking at these VHS tapes of Friday the 13th, I'm like, man, like awesome artwork. Like as basic and simplistic as this is, works. You got the second one to match. Then I'm rolling a third one, which again is okay. It's got that knife coming through for the 3D effect.
Right.
Part 4, iconic.
Iconic. Yeah.
Iconic. Part 5, again, I love this VHS cover. I know there's multiple covers of art of that as well. I think the VHS just did it right. Simple but iconic. And you got Manhattan. Again, this is the other one. You get there's multiple ones of this as well, but I like this one a lot. Fucking straight to hell, baby.
The best. I love it.
Iconic. I always wanted the chrome mask though. I was kind of disappointed. I'm like, man, imagine if he came out with that chrome mask on.
Right.
And then obviously you got your Jason X, which came out a
Love
little
it.
bit later, but yeah. So again, it's crazy to think about the age difference of me going to see Jason X and kind of not being happy with it, to be honest. And then somebody young like you coming in and being like, holy shit, that scared the shit out of me. So it kind of shows the difference in like where people were, and me seeing all these for a long time and going to see X being like, oh man, I can't wait. And I was pretty disappointed with X, straight out of the theater.
Damn. I can understand that though. I really can.
I remember my friend Keith in the theater, and the scene at the end where like he was flying through the sky and like the guy was like on his back like in space. My friend Keith like fucking stands up in the theater and he's like, he's fucking riding on his back. What the hell is this? He was like so pissed.
Oh man, I'm surprised y'all didn't
But
torrent it or LimeWire it at the time. It
you
was
know,
out
you know
there.
what I know I never did, and I was torrenting shit a lot back then, but for some reason I never did that one, and everybody says everybody did it, and I was like, shit, that totally passed me by because I never had um I never even knew that was out there.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that there
Which
were
is
people
crazy.
with VHS tapes at like like I'm sure at comic shops and stuff like that, they had bootleg VHS tapes out there and all.
Now, how long was that available for people before it hit the theaters? Like, did that must have really hurt the movie then, right?
It did. It did. It was probably out a year and change. If the movie had come out right when it was supposed to, there's a strong chance it would have gotten an American Laserdisc. Definitely a Japanese Laserdisc had it come out when it was finished. But it sat
Hmm.
on the shelf for a couple years. It could have come out, I think, in late '99, and if it did, there would have been a slim chance, but still a chance an American Laserdisc would have happened, which I wish that would have been the case. But yeah, because it was filmed in the late '90s, but it didn't come out till 2002 in America,
Wow.
and
So
it still did okay, but not typical of Friday the 13th. They typically did I don't know 200 plus what the budgets were. They would spend 2 million and they would make 20 million. But this one, I think, only made like it did okay. It did okay, but nothing incredible.
but isn't that wild to think about like the limbo of this franchise when it's like, dude, it's a moneymaker, man. And doing a show with somebody the other day who kind of, put different things into perspective for me with all these re-releases all the time of these movies that I feel like, holy shit, I've got like 1,000 copies of this thing. Why does it keep coming out? And a lot of times it's a company's way to be like, shit, you know what? Like, let's throw this out because we know this will make money. So if we take chances on other things later down the road, it's not such a big hit because we'll just throw some, you know, like for instance, that Return of the Living Dead steelbook. Oh, throw it on a steelbook, throw it out there. We know it's going to sell.
Yeah.
So it'll buy us a little bit of time to like do something else. And if the other thing doesn't work as well as we want, then we know, hey, we got enough money with a title that we didn't have to do a lot to. We just had to put like a different package on it and stuff. So it's interesting, I think, when you look at specific ways on why some of these things just keep coming out with just different artwork or whatever.
Really quick, this really opened my eyes to the way New Line operated. So there's a book. I read the whole book. I was doing videos on this, but they weren't doing too well, and they were way too much work, quite frankly. But it's a book called Slash of the Titans. The reason Jason X happened was simply this, and really, Jason Goes to Hell as well. Sean wanted to make Freddy versus Jason, so when Paramount was pretty much ready to exit with Frank leaving, he says, "I'm not going to produce any more Fridays after Jason Takes Manhattan." Paramount was like, "Well, we don't have anybody to spearhead this. We're not gonna sign this. Nobody wants this project anymore." So Sean gets a hold of it to be a part of a bid to get it from with New Line. And it's weird in movie history. I don't know how many times this has ever happened. A character gets licensed, but not the name Friday the 13th. Paramount still had. Now everything is under Warner Brothers, but that was kind of like a hidden thing that wasn't really publicized. But anyway, so they buy the character of Jason. They want to do Freddy versus Jason. It's that simple. Sean wanted to make that movie in 1989, 1990. He wanted to make Freddy versus Jason. Well, New Line has Freddy's Dead coming out next year. And I didn't realize this, but it makes perfect sense. It made a lot of money. Freddy's Dead made a lot of money. So New Line was like, wait a minute. Why are we going to do Freddy versus Jason? We just bought Jason. Why don't we do another movie with him real quick and make money off of this, what we just bought, this character? So then Jason Goes to Hell does pretty good. And after 1993, they start writing they hire dozens and dozens of screenwriters to make scripts to where one person will like it, then New Line will hate it, then New Line will like this, then Sean will hate it. So then they make New Nightmare because they're like, shit, what are we doing? We're just spending hundreds and thousands and millions of dollars on scripts. So after New Nightmare happens, they literally go through a literal limbo of script after script after script of them trying to make Freddy versus Jason, to where they hire Rob Bottin in the late 90s. Rob wants to do it. They force press junkets because they're so sick and tired of waiting. Then they tell Rob what his budget's going to be, and he says, "Screw y'all, I'm out." So they wasted, I think, another $2 million on that whole fiasco. Then they were like, "We have to do something to keep one of these characters in the limelight. What do we do?" Jason X. And so that's how Jason X happened, was literally just to make the character be in people's minds again. That's the only reason Jason X happened.
I mean, it makes total sense, because when you look at the ending of Jason Goes to Hell, you knew what the next one was supposed to be, right? And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, ignore that. Let's go right to Jason X. And you're like, wait, I've been waiting X amount of years to see this fallout of what just happened at the end of Hell. Like, as a kid seeing Jason Goes to Hell for the first time, when that ending happened and the glove came down, I was like, holy shit, that's what we're getting next. And and how many years Jason X from Hell? That'd been a while.
Yeah, so they started filming Jason X in 98, 99, and Jason It Goes to Hell was 93. So yeah, it was a good 5-6 years before they actually filmed anything in relation to Friday the 13th. It was a mess, and in reality, I wish Frank Mancuso would have hung on and not dipped out. But it is what it is. There was almost a time in horror history where Freddy, Jason, Michael, and Leatherface would have all been under one roof had New Line outbid Miramax for Michael. It could have been great, but if you look at the way this went down, it probably would have been just as big as of a shit show. So maybe it wouldn't have been all that great. But that's that. So yeah.
No, it is crazy. And when you look at it and you're like, I guess that is one of the biggest problems, because they license everything is Jason, right? Jason Goes to Hell, Jason X, because they licensed the name, not Friday the 13th. And you said, that doesn't happen often, but there is something that I don't know the details on this, but I was talking to somebody and it has to do with like NECA, right? Like NECA doesn't own Scream. It owns Ghostface. So if you look at every NECA item, it's Ghostface. It's not Scream, which is weird now to think about that, right? Like they basically created a whole, brand of just Ghostface. Like the name Scream isn't on a lot of stuff that you see out at Spirit and stuff, right? It's always just Ghostface. Isn't that always kind of with the logo that they use on a lot of this stuff? And I think it might be maybe in a similar vein of like what's going on with that character, is it's kind of like, hey, we can license this character, but you can't license the franchise.
Well, yeah. What happened was, it's brief, but it's either in Still Screaming or Scream the Inside Story, when they're talking about the first Scream movie, the guy that owned Fun World where
I
they
remember
made
that.
that mask. He said when this movie came out, because we literally just let Wes use the mask because he liked it. He paid us $100 and we let him use the mask in the movie. We knew it was going to be a big seller, and the word Ghostface was used in the movie. So he went back and did some kind of copyright with the term Ghostface and the font, and did that with everything, with the original, with everything from the original mask. Everything was licensed under Ghostface. It's a genius move. I read an article about it
Mm.
that explained it better. I'm not really doing a good job at it, but that guy is a multimillionaire.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I do remember. It must have been from that documentary because I can remember them talking to him, going to the store, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So it must have been from that doc on the Blu-ray. I think that I remember
Yeah.
seeing all that. So yeah, they did explain that. But um, going from VHS, like I said, the '88 ones are basically carbon copies of this. It goes all the way till I think must be Manhattan. Then you're gonna get the Paramount logos on there. Then in '94, you get them all re-released. No Paramount logo on the front, Gateway on the side.
Well, first there was CED discs, and
Ooh,
these actually came out before VHS tapes. So CED died. CED was a format that lived from around 75 or 6, and it died in 1985. So this is a weird format, but it's the size of Laserdisc, maybe a little bit bigger. And I actually can't show you the actual disc because the way this works, it's a lock mechanism that the player, when you'd actually take this and you'd shove it in the CED player. There's tools that grab onto this and are able to release this, and inside is basically like a vinyl record. It wasn't good technology. It was clunky. The machines were a little loud, or they started getting loud, and the picture quality wasn't that great. But it was a weird format. It was kind of the competition to Laserdisc. But what's cool about these, obviously, is the pictures
it's cool.
are really cool on them. So I have this one. And so the last Friday the 13th that had a CED was A New Beginning. I have a friend that has one, and they're a little sought after. And I
Wow,
have the
it went
final
all the
chapter.
way to New Beginning, huh?
Yeah, because it died in
Wow.
'85, and that movie came out in '85. And this is final chapter. It's in rough shape. It's got some tear on it, but this is an original pressing, which has the blue you were
Mhm.
talking about. And this came out in 1984. So there's that. And
Wow.
I even believe the Laserdiscs came out way before '94. They actually came out pretty much because Laserdisc started in 1977 and it died in '99. So I believe my laser discs are all original runs. As a matter of fact, there was no second pressings for any of these on laser discs.
Yeah, I'm curious to
Yeah,
know when some of those came out. Like,
1981. My part one has laser rot, and what that is for the people at home. First, I'll look at the pictures on that. That's what's so cool about this format is how much more pictures you get and everything. But basically, my part one, I can't play it. It's got laser rot because a CED is an analog format. It's a disc, yes, but inside it's a very thick disc. And inside of it, there's basically this kind of glue. And what happens is over time, that glue can unbind and break, and it'll affect your picture. So if you look at this, there's nothing that looks like it's wrong with this. It looks like it looks fine. But inside, it's kind of imploding. Not that you
hmm.
would notice, but my image is very, very scratchy looking. It's nearly unwatchable, and it just happens. I keep mine out of sunlight, obviously, in climate controlled rooms, so most of them are good. But my part one doesn't really play anymore. But this one came out in 1981, so a year after the movie came out. This Laserdisc hit,
I'm
and
s-
it's a pan and scan. It's not widescreen or anything.
I'm assuming that the laser discs are probably valuable. I
They
never really
are.
searched them out, so but I can only imagine that they must be.
I can tell you. I'll tell you off memory how much I paid for these. So I lucked out because I got in a Laserdisc in 2010. It didn't start getting really more expensive until about 2017, 16. Um, but even then, the Friday the 13th ones, yeah, there's your blue again.
Yeah, I love it.
The Friday the 13th ones were expensive because for some reason, anything vintage Friday the 13th, there's such a market for it. people people want to and obviously there's no art on the discs. It's just like they look like giant CDs. They're just expensive. And some of these probably cost me about $35-40. Some of them close to 60. Part 3 was probably around the $50 mark when I got it. I don't know if this is on the back of the VHS, but they actually have the picture of the dude with his body cut up on top of that rafter, and you can see the bloody stump on his leg right there, like where his leg got trashed. It's nasty.
It's on there. Yeah, it's on there.
Okay, yeah.
Crazy though to think about that.
Final chapter. That came out in 1984. So this maybe final chapter came out in the theater early 84 because this still has the same date on it. So there's the pictures on the back of that. And this was actually a sampler. It's got a Pioneer sampler sticker on it. So here's part 5.
Love it.
Yeah. And it's got a few extra pictures on there.
Oh, you know what? I just saw that and I was like, shit. My part 5 is in the other room because I have it displayed with a mask. So that's why all of a sudden I was like, wait, is my part 5 not here? Yeah, it's not. That's why I was like, I didn't shoot this that image.
This one cost me a lot of money because it's one of the fan favorites. So you don't see them on for sale a lot. Part 6. And this was right around the time. It's funny because last year we were all making fun of Warner Brothers with their 100th anniversary. And I guess in 1986, Paramount was having their 75th anniversary. So any LaserDisc I have from Paramount from 86 has the 75th anniversary emblem on it.
You know, but
they have it on the back.
Quality, little emblem like that, not a big thing slapped across the top of the disc there.
Yeah. Great pictures of Jason on that one. This one is the most sought after and rare Friday the 13th LaserDisc, the coveted New Blood. For some reason, it's just very, very rare. You don't see them online a lot. And I have one that is in flawless 10 out of 10 condition.
Looks it.
It's pristine. And that's probably one of the most iconic shots of Jason. It was used on the video games. It's used on t-shirts. It's just a great shot. Next up is Jason Takes Manhattan. Gorgeous on this LaserDisc. And
so good.
Yeah, there's the back. And I have a Japanese Jason Takes Manhattan right here with the Obi strip and everything. And
that's sick. That'd be a cool shirt, huh?
The weird thing about some of these Japanese LaserDiscs, they do play in American LaserDisc players, but they play at a speed that's like maybe 0.5% faster. It's not fast to where it's bothersome, but like when you hear Darkest Side of the Night, instead of dun dun bum bum bum, it's like dun 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 dun. It's like a little bit faster, and the pitch is slightly raised. It's not annoying per se, but it's just a little noticeable. But yeah, this Japanese always love to make explosion art on the back of theirs. This is actually a tame example, but like some of my Nightmare on Elm Street Japanese LaserDisc, the back is just exploding with art, and they love to get creative and do all kinds of stuff with them. There's a lot of speculation about what Obi strips are for. Some people claim that the clerks and tellers would keep these when you would sell them, so that way they knew what they needed to restock. But I think that they were technically, from what I understand, the research I've done, that they're more so hype stickers. As you can see, they're promoting parts 7 through 4 on LaserDisc as well for you to probably pick up on home video. And also because I have it on here. So obviously when that got sold, it wasn't taken off. And the unrated version of Jason Goes to Hell, as far as I know, that's only been released unrated on the old formats. And the back art is really cool.
Cool, yeah. Those look awesome, man. Those would be great framed up, huh?
Yeah, I've had them framed in the past. If people go on my channel, like from years and years and years ago, I had these framed. This is actually a really good way to watch the movie still. I've never watched another release that quite has the cinematic experience that this LaserDisc does. It looks really, really good because by 93, LaserDisc had really mastered itself as a format. And it's kind of like Blu-ray today. Blu-ray today, it's the standards of what it's like in terms of, how they restore the stuff and the way they present it with the good audio and Dolby and stuff. By 93, Laserdisc had perfected letterboxing. The audio was robust. So that's still a fantastic way to watch Jason Goes to Hell, is that Laserdisc.
That's awesome. Those are beauties, man, for sure.
But yeah, I can probably sell those conservatively for I could probably get $700 if I
For the
wanted to
lot?
sell. Probably so, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less, because they just keep going up in value and they're just
Mhm.
getting very expensive and rare. It took me a year and change to even find a listing of Part 7, and I never see it on there. It could be on there now, I don't know, but when I was looking, it was like a golden goose.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely really cool pieces to have in a Friday collection for sure, because they aren't readily available. Like I said, even Laserdisc format alone, like I never saw it growing up. Like I just didn't. I don't know if I was going to the wrong places in the wrong aisles. I have no idea, but it just never really is anything I ever saw. That's why I don't really have any. That's why everything I have was VHS, and then it went right to DVD, which I guess is the next format at this point. But there is one more. I think it's just part one, Friday the 13th, the original that came out. Like I think it might have been I don't know, like 90, no, maybe like 2000, 2002. There's a VHS of Friday the 13th with like a real shitty artwork. I don't know if you've
It's
ever
kind of
seen that.
red as a silhouette.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm I'm trying to find that one. Like, I can get it online, but I don't like buying stuff online unless I have to, and I keep my eyes out for that constantly. I
Yeah. I
love
was
that. That's where Paramount shines to me, is their crappy
is when they
artwork.
just do the random shit like that, like to try to
Yeah.
change it up. Like I have a couple in my eBay cart right there. They're not expensive. You can, on eBay, you can get one for under $20. So I mean, it's not so I think it's just a definite cool, thing to have because it is so random. It's just that one. It's got like a different art that I've never seen anywhere else before. Just on that one release. I don't think they ever recycled that and used it anywhere else as far as I know.
No.
But it is kind of a wild release, and that was kind of, that came out when the DVDs were out as well, so which is wild. And I still kept these because similar to the VHS tapes, this original run of like the standalone DVDs were just I've got so much nostalgia with them because this is when I really started to get into the DVD collecting and getting all these on DVD and the upgrade for the first time. These are those Paramount ones. I'm sure you probably have them. These were very readily available for a long time. This old one. I'm trying to see if they have anything in there. Yeah, like an insert and stuff like that. But part one,
Those were the ones I
part
was renting
two,
from Blockbuster. Those
definitely.
DVDs.
So this was the first run. They've got like that red strip down there.
Right.
And then it gets really interesting though, because obviously we know that things start to change on the artwork at part 5, which is super crazy to me. Like this, it's got this art, and you look and you're like, why didn't they just use the VHS artwork? Like these start getting so wild and wonky here, isn't it? Like this
Yeah,
always boggled my mind here.
it's weird. They changed this font to like this kind of weird font.
Which we see a lot in the future too, which is crazy. And then even the mask, right? Like it's just different chevrons. It's like I don't know
I
what was going on here.
It's kind of hard for me to hate these though, because I don't know, this was the way I found the franchise when I was watching these, and I don't know why they changed it halfway through. It's a really weird. It's a that if I had a crystal ball, some people would want to know, who killed John F. Kennedy and stuff like that. I would want to know, why did they change the artwork for the DVDs halfway through? Like, that's my Leave Harvey Oswald question.
I
Is
mean, like
that
you said, it's the artwork and the font and everything else. Like even this one, like so lazy, dude. Like
Yeah,
again,
I'm not.
it's we're going back to what we said before, where it's nostalgia and physical media history. Like these things are so out there when they came out as far as the artwork that you got to kind of love them at this point because this is so nostalgic and retro. But you always do wonder, like, who decided, let's change the font. Let's just throw a random mask on here. We're starting to figure out, like, what would you use for this Photoshop? We're starting to figure this out now. Let's just slap these together.
Yeah.
and throw it out. And the same thing with New
I
Blood.
believe, if you don't mind, I believe Roy Burns is on the back of the part 6.
Let me see. Is he really?
But they changed his chevrons, I think, to actually
mask.
red. Yeah, see, that's Roy Burns when he's in the barn, but they fixed his chevrons, I think.
Yeah, it's red. Yeah.
But see, that's so intentional to change the chevrons. I'm convinced somebody actually knew what they were doing and they were just being silly, because that's way too weird to change the chevrons. So that's another big mystery. Somebody knew what they were doing.
Do you think they were trying to just upgrade the frame? Like, more people would like, because this does just look.
Well, I like part
off.
7. I like part 7. I do like part 7. You know.
Oh, here we go. I haven't looked at these in a long time, man.
Yeah, I got that one too. I gotta finish. I gotta get 6 and 7. I don't know why I don't have them. Probably because I ended up. I think at that point I was buying the deluxe ones already, and so I never went back and finished the old runs.
And then you got the classic. I still just love this artwork, man. Like,
it's the best.
Unrated,
it's so
rated.
Good.
And then you got the Jason X and then the Jason vs. Freddy as well.
I wish that New Line had done what they did for Texas Chainsaw 2003 and 7 for Jason X. I mean, I know it's a little silly to think about, or really even Freddy versus Jason. I think they could have done something in that New Line. I forget the name of the releases, but it's that chunky New Line release, and they could have done something cool, like a nameplate or something.
It's called. I've got the 7 one right here sitting there. I don't know. I can't see it, but I know what you're talking about. It had like the thing on the top, and they come in the thicker boxes. They did a couple different ones.
Yeah, they could have. They definitely could have done that for Freddy versus Jason, and it would have sold really, really well. I don't know why they didn't.
That's 100%. So this is where it gets kind of wild with the DVDs, because they start re-releasing these multiple times. But before that happened, here's what I did. I have a cool edition here. Is rumors online were like, oh, you can never get this uncut. Like, they haven't had the uncut, the original. The only way you could see it uncut was you had to go region B. So I have this old UK, because that was the only way you could watch it uncut on this format. So I ended up getting this and just utilizing this for a while.
I got to grab that myself. That's actually a very important release in physical media history, because that release, it may not be that way anymore. I'd have to look at the actual specs on the 4Ks, but that release was the first time it was shown with the legitimate actual aspect ratio, the way it was shot. Was that release? Every other release was different croppings, different aspect ratios, but that release was the first time and one of the only times it was actually released with the exact aspect ratio. So that's actually a very important release.
0.85. So this was cool. I don't know what this goes for now. At the time, back in the day, this was pretty expensive, because again, I know everybody was talking about it because of the uncut footage that you weren't getting on these other releases, but that was the main reason I bought it. But now you're saying that when it comes to the aspect ratio, I didn't really know about that.
Yeah.
Between the two. So yeah, I mean, it is an addition that it was a lot of people were talking about it back in the day, and that's what ended up, me going out of my way to get it. For sure. And then I have this other thing. I don't even know what this is, dude. It was a fan edit. I don't know where the hell I got it. It was called The Legend of Crystal Lake. I don't know let me see what this is. It's got special features. I think this is basically like they just spliced the movies together to make it all one, like part 1 and 2.
Well, I like that they made it look like the original Paramount DVDs. They did a good job of that.
So it's got special features, theatrical trailers, 2-part retrospective called Friday the 13th Chronicles, Q&A with select cast members, brand new 5.1 Dolby digital audio. So this was like a pretty, at the time, decent fan-made film. We've seen these before with Halloween, where they spliced the first 2 movies together. It's seamless, and that's what this is. So it's just, you got 1 and 2 spliced together. And that was just something, I don't know if I grabbed it off a message board back in the day. I have no idea. But it sits in the collection, and this is kind of where, again, we start getting more DVDs. Now, I don't know the timeline here. Maybe you do. But once those original ones were kind of done, that original run, where do we go next? Was it the box set? Was it? Yeah, okay, good. So
Yeah, it was this box set.
and another
Because
physical media history edition right here. It's very weird, but it was the first time we got everything together, which was super cool. But I'm sure you probably feel the same way, is that, no matter what, slim cases, weird fonts, weird this, it's still a pretty important set.
it is, and I was very happy to find this. I would see this on YouTube and stuff like that, but it was kind of expensive at the time on eBay. Like, it was like people wanted 40, 50 bucks for it. And I went to Game Exchange one day, just going to look at for like a Nintendo game that I was trying to get. It might have been like Super Glove Ball or something, just because like it was some stupid game I wanted. And I didn't see it. I just happened to pass by the DVDs and I got this for like $7. So it's a little beat up, but this was important because at the time they did what was called the Friday 13th Chronicles, and they actually interviewed people from the movies, and it's separate special features that were like this was all original special features that were done for this. They would put the movie. So this came out in like 2004 or 5, I think. It was after the DVDs had come out. 2004. Yeah, I was right. I've second guessed myself sometimes. I'm gonna sound like a fraud if I'm wrong. But yeah, this came out in 2004, and this is an important release because during the Part 4 documentary, you've got a incredibly sarcastic Corey Feldman the entire time, who clearly doesn't want to be there talking about Friday the 13th. And I just remember watching that for the first time, and he is so like he's being sarcastic the entire time. And I don't know if he really didn't want to be there talking about the movie or not, but like he's just like, oh, I thought this was Halloween I was doing at the time, and I was like, well, where's Michael? Oh, it's Friday. Oh, I thought it was Halloween.
Oh,
Like
I got to go back and watch that, dude.
yeah.
It's been probably since 2004 since I've seen that. But I love the Coreys. I got to go back and check that out. I have no recollection of that at all, but I do remember all the documentaries, and it was like an 8-part featurette and all this other stuff. And it's got, like you said, it's got its own whole disc dedicated to just the features.
Yeah, the Chronicles they're really great. One of my favorite things to do is actually watch like the Chronicles or watch the documentaries that were done on the special edition DVDs, because they have this rewatchability factor that I don't typically like to rewatch mini making ofs that often. But man, like at the time before I got this, I used to go on YouTube a lot and watch them because people had uploaded them. And it was just like, I don't know, man. This is why I love Collecting Fridays so much, is because like my love for physical media and my love for horror and stuff, all of it coincided with Friday the 13th and watching all this stuff. And even though this stuff was old at that point, maybe 5-6 years, it was new to me. And yeah, I love this set. I always tell people to go out of your way to try to find this, because I don't know. It's just like at the time, it's not as nice as the Elm Street box set that New Line did, but like this was Paramount's version of that at the time. And I like it. And it's basically the first 8 DVD releases. They do different artwork. Like they didn't like, obviously, like you can see that they mimicked the art that's similar on those DVDs, but they had to kind of come up with something for the first 4 since they changed it, and they did okay. They kind of actually played it straight for the first 4 movies, honestly. But I remember the discs being funny on one of them. Let me see. I think it was the Part 5 disc.
Now let me ask you this: are any of the features on here, because I can't think about it offhand, never ported over anywhere else? Like, is that 8-part featurette on any other editions of this franchise? Or
Paramount was really good about putting the Chronicles and stuff on the deluxe edition DVDs. But here's one thing I remembered from this that was interesting. So if you look at your Part 5 DVD, the regular singular release, you'll look at the mask on the front, and he's got red chevrons. They fixed it. If you look at the skinny disc case, they fixed his chevrons and made it blue. But if you open the disc, it's Roy Burns with clear red chevrons on his mask, like on the Part 6 DVD. So it's I need answers for
So
this
wild.
one day.
It's so wild.
Yeah. And maybe I'm the only other person maybe I'm the only person that's noticed that, but that's how much I love this stuff. And like when I notice this is how much of a nerd I am. When I noticed that, I remember I wanted to do a video on this box set, and I did that just so I could talk about that. And I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, I love this box set. This was 2004. And then
Now,
Fridays wouldn't get new stuff till 2008.
so the Chronicles, were they when they were split into the deluxe editions, weren't they like, was there a piece on each disc instead of it all being together? Was that the change? Okay, I do remember that
Yeah.
now.
The part 1 Chronicles went on the part 1, but they also did a newer documentary with all the red case DVDs, as you were, the deluxe
Mhm.
collector's edition DVDs. Yeah.
So I think that's kind of where you're going to come in now, because I was from here collecting the standalone red case with the lenticulars. Then I ended up selling them once I got a box set that came out a couple years later. But I know you have all those red ones still, which are, when you think about it now, they're freaking awesome, man. Like, look at how beautiful that looks lined up. They all got the slip covers. They all have lenticular artwork on the front. I mean, I'm very mad that I got rid of all mine because those are unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Very cool.
I gotta thank my viewers, and I know some people sent me some, but the person that actually got it to me first was my buddy John Flesher, who I'm embarrassed to say this, Garrett. I was throwing these away when I first got them
The
because
slips, you're saying?
I was throwing them away because
Mm.
they were fairly new when I was getting into these 2010, 2009, and these came out in 2008 ish or
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an early
2009.
slipcover. Slipcovers were very early at that point, because that I can remember as well, like kind of being like, what are these cool things in the front with the that are moving around? Like, it wasn't something we saw often at that point.
No, and if you ask me what was I thinking, I really wish I had an answer for you, but I don't. It was stupid of me to do it, but yeah, I can't believe it because I really like them, and a lot of them still have the hype stickers. This was the first time America got the movie unrated, as far as
That
I'm
was a big
aware.
deal. Big
Yeah,
deal. Yeah. Yeah, very big deal.
I don't know if there's anything in here. I'll just look through one. After that, I won't go through instead of no. And you better get used to those silver case or those silver colored DVDs because like
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff I have after this is that part 2. This one was cool. Oh, this one has the sticker on it too. And it says new 5.1 surround sound as well. This one was cool because this is where I learned about Crystal Lake Memories, because one of the special features on part 2 was Peter Brackey talking about the book. And I had no idea about the book until I watched this. So when I watched the special features of that, I went to Barnes and Nobles. No, I went to Books A Million and I asked for the book. I walked in and they're like, "Hey, can you help me find anything?" I said, "Crystal Lake Memories." And she goes, "Let me look that up." Sure enough, they had it. I read the whole book the next day, the entire thing.
It's unbelievable book.
Yeah. Part 3,
That's
this was
awesome.
my brother tried to watch this in 3D with the glasses on, and we're drinking an Old English 40, and he threw up, and he's like, "Put the 2D version on." Yeah.
No way. Man, some of the scenes in 3, I still love it.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool though. Look at that. Look at
Yeah,
that cool.
3 that's my favorite look of Jason of all time is part
Me
3.
too. 100%. I think I did on my ranking. I think I said the exact same thing. There was something odd about him, and that was one of the first Fridays I ever saw, was him running around. He felt a little more human.
But he's
But
like
then
a
when he took the
ghost
mask off and
too.
he's looking out the window, I was like, holy shit!
Yeah.
Like, that freaked me out, man, as a kid.
I'm lucky all these have the stickers on it too. This one says includes the lost ending and slash scenes, which the lost ending is something I wish we could have well, never mind. The lost ending is great with her having the beyond with the wide eyes in the bathtub. But in part 3, that look of Jason where he looks like he has like this kind
Mhm.
of like something from like a something demented that you would see from like the Goonies, that face
Yeah,
where
I was
he's
gonna say
holding.
he looks like a rabid sloth or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
They
yeah,
got a couple people that make busts of that, and I plan on getting one of those because it's too cool not to have. But yeah, part 4 is nice.
look how
They
cool
kinda just
that is.
did a play on the poster art, which is cool. Part 5 has the best slip out of all of them. I love it. There's something so creepy. It makes me think of the Blair Witch Project for some reason because of the woods and that house down there.
I love
But
that.
I thought the mask that was so good, and they got the chevrons right with them a little bit uneven. So that's good. That has the sticker on. All these, I'm lucking out. All these have the stickers. Here's part 6 with Jason wearing a zip-up hoodie. And you can tell, you can
That's
see
Halloween, Jason.
you can see the hood. But if you
That is
look at the mask, I'll try to get a close-up. That's the Roy Burns mask. That's straight up Roy Burns. So, yeah.
Damn it, I missed those. If anybody else has those out there that want to dump, hit me up. I gave them to my friend Mike, actually. I'm wondering if he still got them.
Do you need the movies or just the slip covers?
I need everything. Yeah, I got
Okay.
rid of everything.
Well, I may have some doubles of these, and I think I'm getting some slips. And if my audience, if I'll make sure the guys, somebody else that donated it to me, if they don't mind, I'll send them. I'll send you the ones, the spares that I'll have.
Oh hell yeah, man! I'm looking at them now, and I'm like, shit, man, I miss those. They're just important to me, And it was just one of those things when we got the next thing we're going to talk about. I was like, I guess I don't need these anymore. I gave them all to my friend Mike.
Right. I feel you. I threw mine away like a jackass. I'll say this really quick. This is my favorite deluxe edition DVD is part 7. I mean, the art's good. It's not my favorite, but it's good. But what I love about part 7, and my wife will, till this very day, Garrett, I'm not lying. My wife will catch me watching this, and she's just like, you have a problem. There's 2 special features on this that mean the world to me. One of them is the 2 girls, in part 7, you got the girl. She's cute, but she's like the dorky girl that needs a little touch-up work. That girl and her friend with the red hair. There's a special feature in here where they literally got a camera guy to go by there, like in Beverly Hills, and they literally take these girls out and they just go to the salon and get their hair done, and they go shopping for clothes. And like, that's a special feature. And they're just like doing a play on getting a little touch-up work. It's so 2009. And the other special feature on this I love, I take it seriously, is a heart attack. They got a parapsychologist. They interviewed a parapsychologist on this to talk about telekinesis and the ramifications on if it's real, if it was real. And it's done seriously. They interviewed this guy about people that might have telekinesis powers. It's so ridiculous, but I love it.
That's a reel right there. Is that footage? That's a reel.
Yeah. And Jason Takes Manhattan. They did a good job on Jason Takes Manhattan. It's not as good as the poster, but I mean,
the reflection in the water. That's cool.
What I wish somebody would do is I wish I could get a box set made for these, but I want the box set to be holographic as well, right? And
those would look great in a set just to keep them all secure like that. Yeah, but look at how cool that looks. See, that's what I want. I want the whole package with the slips and everything, because that just looks really, really cool.
You're gonna get them. We'll make sure. Like I said, I'm gonna make sure that the one guy that sent me some is okay with it, and I'll send them to you.
Oh man, I appreciate it. But yeah, those were great additions, man. Just again, the aesthetic of it, fantastic. Now, I don't know is that what I have? Okay, so they started to put this. I can remember when this, like I said, I had those deluxe editions. Yeah, I was like, I'm good. I was at Best Buy, and I remember like taking a corner and walking back down the aisle, like ready to pay for something, and I see this sitting on the shelf like this. I go, what the heck is that? Like I didn't know it was coming. I was like, what the hell is that? And I grabbed it, and I'm like, what the heck? And I thought I found like a piece of gold because I didn't know anything about this edition. Like, I didn't know it was coming out. I didn't know what it was. So I grabbed it. There was only one on the shelf. Yeah. Purchased it right away. And I got home and I was looking through and I was like, oh man, it's like the same thing I have, but they're all just kind of housed together. Had the little mask.
Yeah, but I do like the Friday facts that they put on these and stuff, and they give you the kill counts and the weapons used, and it's I mean, the way these discs are housed isn't good at all. Some of mine are actually stuck because they slip down and they get stuck in the glue, like this one. Actually, you can see it. It's got glue on it. So,
Oh, because the thing undoes and it slides into the bottom. I
see mine. Look at this one. See how it's
I can only imagine what mine looks like then, because dude, I have not taken this thing out since probably probably the year it came out, to be honest with you. I don't know.
My wife actually bought this. She got this for herself, believe it or not. And we saw Pizzle do a video of this because I had just started dating Sydney and I had gotten into Friday the 13th big time already, but I was just looking up physical media stuff and my wife saw this and she got it. We have number 29,491 out of 50,000. So
what is yours?
29,491.
Mine's 25,040 out of 50.
I wonder who's got number 13. I want it.
Oh, you know what, dude? I still have the glasses packaged in here.
Yeah, at the bottom, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. That's cool. I didn't even know they were in here. Sweet.
So I actually think those sold okay. They didn't sell crazy because I've had a number of people tell me that they actually found theirs at store. We have a place called Fred's down south, which it's kind of like a Big Lots. And some people had told me around here that they found those at those stores. So I think that they probably sold okay, but they didn't sell out right away. So some of them ended up in like, you know, the overstock stores.
I mean, they're cool. It's a cool looking set, but like I said, we had just recently got those ones. So like that kind of was, you know, it was just random. Everybody was probably like, shit, I just bought these.
Yeah.
So they didn't buy them because they were like, I just bought this deluxe edition. And I could be wrong with my timeline here, but there was also a couple DVDs for Blu-rays of 1, 2, and 3 that matched those deluxe that I had as well. Now, I don't know if those came out on the same time or they came out later. I forget.
They came out a little later. No, I'm sorry. I apologize. I think you're absolutely right. I'm looking at the oldest date on this. Now, I bought this in 2012, but the oldest date I see on this looks like it's 2009. So maybe so, but here's the thing. I did not see this in 2010 when I was buying these. I didn't see this at FYE. So either these were only at Best Buy at the time or something. God, if that tells you how old this is, ultraviolet codes.
They could have been because I remember buying all of it. Like I had all the DVDs and I had 1, 2, and 3 like that.
Yeah.
Maybe they came out on different weeks. I think that they all did. They didn't come out, I think, in the same day. Maybe the Blu-rays did, but the DVDs, I think, came out like maybe the 1 through 3, and then you had 4, 5, 6, and then the other 3 came out like different months or something.
And they did the higher sequels as double packs. You couldn't get parts 6, 7, or 8 like individually. And I never bought those because I don't know, like for some reason I drew a line right there. The only other time I feel like I've ever drawn a line with Friday the 13th was that. So like I don't have those.
And it was all the same stuff. It was just rehashed. Like even the box that comes in here, didn't that get re-released on its own without this big package as well?
Right,
like,
right.
That got released by itself.
Yeah, and I actually like this. I feel like I'm the only person that has this. So
wait, so that's not the one in there that has an extra slip on it?
Correct. This is 2012.
Oh, so it's the same thing. Yours just has a lenticular over the piece, right?
It's it's the same thing. So in 2012, they put this out, and this actually sold okay from what I remember, but I really like this lenticular cover, and it was when I got this. I mean, this was my go-to, and as a matter of fact, or not long after this, they put the movies out. It might have even been around the same time they put these movies out, and as a Blu-ray set, which is this set, but I might have even passed on that to get the DVD version because the Blu-ray version did not have this cover, the holographic cover. It was a normal cover, but I got this one, and I've put a lot of miles on this one. This was like my way. I used to watch the movies all the time, and I love it. I mean, I got this at Best Buy for like, it was like $50, $60 maybe. I can't remember. It might have been a little cheaper, but yeah, see, I've never seen anybody else have this.
No, I didn't even know that it came out. I knew it came out in a thing. I just didn't realize it had like a slip cover with a lenticular that fit over that whole book. So yeah, that's wild. So at this point, they were kind of finishing up with the DVD, you would think. They did have that DVD, which was like the New Line ones, right? It was just them on like this like weird looking box set.
Right here.
Oh, you got that?
Yeah, the New Line slasher collection.
Yeah, that thing. That was kind of like you needed that to go with your from Lake to Manhattan, right? Like you needed that to go with that one.
Yeah, well, the reason this came out was basically New Line capitalizing on the release of the remake at the time. So this came out in 2010, and it's pretty cool. So I got this at Walmart. I like the back. And there's the thing about these cases. I know some people may not like them, but what I like about these thin DVD cases is I swear I could put this right here and you could shoot me and I wouldn't feel it, because they're like they're they're solid.
That's funny.
And yeah, so I got this in early 2010, and this was put out basically, like I said, as a way to capitalize on Jason being popular again with the remake coming out. And yeah, I remember seeing this, and I don't know if this is worth anything, but I know that when I did a video on this a while back, a bunch of people said, just it's funny because people watch my videos and they'll comment, just ordered one off eBay.
It's crazy how that works. I did that today actually with somebody I knew, and you're going to probably do it now too. Oh, maybe you have it. I don't know. But I guess they're re-releasing again. Like Playmates is re-releasing like the original Ninja Turtle stuff again, like in the old boxes and stuff. So I was at Target the other day. I saw like the pizza thrower, which was like my favorite vehicle growing up as a kid. So I was like, shit, I got to get that.
Right.
Somebody posted today, Amazon exclusive. They're doing Technodrome. Comes in the same box from back in the day. I freaking ran right on there and fucking ordered it right away.
That's awesome.
Because I'm like, I never had that as a kid. I never had it.
Yeah.
So, you know, to get it in the box and stuff, as soon as I saw someone post it, I was like, oh, God damn it, I got to buy it. You know,
dude,
so I hear you, man. You do videos. We talk about even this stuff now. I'm seeing your lenticular collection. I'm like, shit, I need that now. You know, it's nostalgic's a hell of a drug, man. I'll tell you, nostalgia.
Yeah.
So that's wild that you have that set for sure.
I'm sure you didn't plan on it, but just in case. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh baby.
Oh, so you're missing the Hollywood movie money ticket inside sticker.
Oh shit. What the hell? Let me see. Let me see if there's anything in here that what's this? A poster, I think. So you got 2 discs, right? I don't know if we got ours in different times.
So yeah. I got to give a huge shout out to my friend Kyle, who I had this DVD, but I bought it used from FYA, so mine didn't have the poster. Mine had the poster, but I'm very lucky that mine has the Friday the 13th, 2009 ticket voucher.
That is sick, dude. I love that.
Yeah. So you ought to go on eBay and
get that and stick it in here.
You could take this to a movie theater, and it's got Platinum Dunes on the back, and it was a voucher for $5 off your ticket. And it's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
See, like that's something that I would frame, dude. Like for me, I would put that in a frame, and like I have this weird thing on my staircase, which is all these like random image pictures and stuff. And you know, they're all different sizes. That would be something I would do because that's just so unique to still have something like that. And they used to do stuff like that all the time, but yeah, I definitely don't have it. Anchor Bay put this out, which is crazy because you know Anchor Bay and Friday the 13th weren't really something you'd see together often, so this is pretty cool that you know was an Anchor Bay release. And at the time this was awesome, man. Like it was like this was the documentary for him right there. Until later on down the road when we see you know what else they've got coming. But now when it comes to the Blu-rays, you had the first 3 standalone, 1, 2, and 3. I don't think the other ones got standalones.
No, they didn't. It was double pack.
And then it started to get box sets after that, right? Like more like collections. Like,
right.
And then I don't know, man. Is this got to be the next? Do you have any imports, by the way, like on Blu-ray or DVD?
I do, but timeline wise, it's after the 10 box set and things like that.
So that's probably next. Is this 10?
Yeah. And as a matter of fact, I even think the latter sequels, the double packs weren't really coming out till really after the 10 box set happened. Because they were I don't think they were using the same exact discs artwork wise, but they were the same kind of multi-pack discs, Blu-ray discs they were using. Because the 10 box set has specific art that's done. You can't get the disc. You can't get any Friday the 13th releases that have the disc art that this set has. So
now think about this as we're going through this. Like, you know, Halloween's had so many editions too, but none of these franchises have had so many collections where they're all together. Like that Friday has. I mean, they pump in these things out in these collections, you know, which is crazy. And then when this came out, as weird again, this is a weird set to me, but it was so huge when this came out. I was so amped for this damn thing.
Yeah.
A tin box still pisses me off. There's nothing on the spine. Always thought that kind of sucked because it was hard to display it. You had to display it forward facing.
You didn't keep you didn't keep your binder?
I gotta have it. It might be inside here, or else it's gotta be in my maybe it's gotta be, I have it. It's either in this thing or it's inside. I call it a slip box where I throw all my slip covers I don't want to display in there. That's gotta be in there. I would never have gotten rid of it.
I don't know.
This is loaded with shit.
I don't know if people realize I'll get accused sometimes of like what's the word? I get accused of sensationalizing this set, but I don't think people realize that haven't been collecting as long as us that this predates everything, including the Halloween box set. So when this was announced, I remember being so the excitement was I never had the excitement like this again. Halloween was such a big deal, but this was literally like a fever dream. I even remember watching old videos of his, and he would say stuff like, "This isn't real. Like, I'm ready to wake up because this is a dream." Because this was different studios as well, not as much as Halloween, but still, this predates all that, and it was done by the studio themselves. So that's why I tell people you have to have this in your collection. I don't care how nice you think the Scream Factory box set is. This is history. This beat all of it. This predated all of it.
Oh, you know that this set, everybody got rid of this when the other one came out. I mean, I'm guaranteeing most people, because it was pretty expensive to get at still at that point. Like, I think
it was $89.99. This set
now was it, but it wasn't still available by the time Scream Factory came out, right? This thing was out of print. It had to have been.
This sold out within, I think, 8 months. It was sold out at major retailers like Best Buy.
So that was a big thing. As soon as Scream Factory announced it, I can even remember considering selling this because I'm like, I could make almost what it cost for the Scream Factory one with this thing because it was always so valuable. But then obviously you started to see they would just come in so plentiful that I wouldn't have been able to. So I was like, yeah, I know what, I love it. I'm not gonna sell it. And I agree with you. You know, is the Scream Factory one better overall? Sure. But this was important, as wonky as it was, because it had the weird logo again, embossed, no logo on the side. It's got like the remake chick, like who's that? What's her name again?
Willa Ford.
Singer. Yeah, like she's in there. It was kind of weird.
But I mean, here's the thing. You're right, but at the same time, I'm not trying to be an apologist. She's in a Friday the 13th movie. She's in the remake. You know, but I think people were like, why is Pamela not on here? Well, you know what? People would have bitched about Pamela being on the front too. Like, why is it not Jason on the front?
You got this little thing, this little elastic still. I don't know what is that. What this is for?
It's a wristband that literally okay, it's like imagine me like, hey, what's up, dude? Like, look at this. Like,
you have to twist it around twice. John Cena would wear these on his arms or whatever.
Everybody has these still shrink wrap. Nobody opens their stuff.
Mine too. But you know what's weird? I must have just chucked some in here because like these must have came from maybe my deluxe DVD because I have like 2 packs over here.
Yeah.
But they're different. What the fuck is this? Wait a minute. What do yours look like? Show me this.
Well, on these, they say 3D on the back.
That's okay. That's why I'm looking at them. I'm like, wait, what are these ones? And then I have this one. So I don't know what this must have came from my deluxe set or something.
That's the deluxe.
I must have just kept them. Then I've got a free pair. I got the patch. It's not opened. I got the little book.
The companion to Crystal Lake Memories, which I thought is a really nice touch.
So I mean, it did give you a lot, all things considered. And does this doesn't go to? It goes to the remake, right?
It goes to the remake. Yeah, it does go to the remake. And what I really love is how glossy and how great the pictures look on the movies when you're flipping through the book. I thought it, and there's something so Atreyu about this 13 on the front page. It just reminds me of like artwork of something from like a.
You still hold me when you see what I have done. Classic.
Crimson. Yeah.
Are they are those all individual too, right?
Well, they're individual up until 5 and 6 they share the, like I said, 5 and 6 share a disc, and that's where they started doubling up the Blu-rays. But like
I
I
gotcha.
said, the disc art is specific for this set. So the artwork on those, I love the artwork that they did for these deluxe for this set. And um the killer bonus disc has Jason X on there, and this has all the Paramount documentaries that were done for the deluxe DVDs, and then the 2004 box set. And I love the image they used for the remake right there with
Mhm.
Padalecki. And there might have been something about this release that was different
Is
audio
that Killer Cut
wise.
or no?
Um, yes, it's the Killer Cut extended version.
Okay.
Yes, which I think was pretty standard on home video. I don't know that there was a theatrical release only for home video. I think you might be able to swap to it, but I don't know if there was an actual. I don't
Well,
know.
there was 2. I wonder if I don't know if I still have it though, man. So there was 2. I don't know if it was DVD or Blu-ray or whatever for Friday the 13th, the remake. Oh, maybe you got this. Let me see what you got. You had one with the
Yeah.
mask, and then you had one with him, right?
So yeah, this is the Blu-ray
Okay.
version and the DVD version, which clearly has the better art. But what's interesting about this was I had the Blu-ray from when I bought it years and years ago. But somebody said, "Hey, I want to send you this, and you're gonna appreciate when you see it." So they sent me a copy. They actually just I have to put my Blu-ray in this because right in here is just a blank case, but my Blu-ray is on the shelf. I didn't grab it because I forgot it was a blank case. But when they sent me this, I realized why they sent it to me. They sent me this, and there's a sneak peek sticker for Trick or Treat on there because that's when the movie was coming out. So there's the hype sticker of Trick or Treat on there. I'd
Hmm.
never seen that in my life before, so I thought that was so cool. And that's another piece of cool history because at that time, this movie Trick or Treat was nothing yet, and it was about to be. And it's so cool seeing that sticker on there.
I'm wondering now if that, because I was saying it the other day because I did a video talking about Trick or Treat, and I said I can remember seeing the trailer in the theaters for the first time and going ape shit for it.
Right.
Could it have been the trailer for that movie? I don't remember. But I did have that Blu-ray edition, and I don't know. Mine I feel like could have been lenticular slipcover. I don't remember, but I do remember having that version with the mask
I don't.
Blu-ray.
Yeah. I'd love to be wrong. I don't think there was a lenticular. I think you might be thinking about Elm Street
Could have been.
because there's a
I'd have to look, but
lenticular
I
Elm Street.
definitely had. Yeah, that's the one. I have that still, but I definitely did have that Blu-ray. I may still have it boxed up, but definitely the one with the mask for the Killer Cut. I never had that on DVD though, but I do remember there was a different artwork of
So
just
so
him kind of standing there.
yeah, and you can watch the theatrical cut on the Blu-ray, and I think on the DVD it might just be the killer cut. I'm not sure, but I love the artwork for the DVD so much better. And this is the the DVD copy I found the other day at Goodwill.
That is funny.
That's a Blockbuster case. So yeah. Um.
So that
Uh.
brings us to the big guy, right?
Well,
The next time we
the
see this thing, or like you said, there was a couple
no,
different
I
mashups
got
after this, right?
this was a super budget release on DVD. I forgot to show.
Now,
Just a
yeah, yeah, that's in wild that you have that.
super
What is
budget.
the
So this
one that there's still one at Walmart right now. What is that?
It's this exact same thing, but it's got the steelbook artwork of the 1 through 8,
Uh,
the
well,
blue.
if you go now, it's got a new exclusive slip over the top.
Yeah, I should have grabbed it when it initially got released because now at my store they don't have it with the slip. If I find one with the slip, I'll snag it. But this came out in 2018.
Whoa, what is that thing?
This is the remake steelbook, which
Huh.
everybody hated. But then when you flip it to the back, then you get that cool shot of Jason's
Wow,
hockey mask.
I never had that. Nope. Wow.
Yeah, let me see what's on the inside really quick because it might have cool inside artwork. I think it did. Yeah, but yeah, I remember this came to Best. This was a Best Buy exclusive, and it tanked. I don't think anybody bought it because I just don't think people like the artwork, which I understand. It's kind of like a play on the original silhouette, just not as good. But yeah, Killer Cut DVD. But the inside's really cool.
Oh yeah, that's a cool image. I loved Mirrors as Jason. I really did.
I did too. I really like him. So that was like 2018, 2019. There's something else I was gonna grab. Let me see. I got this. I got this before COVID. I remember it. It's just a triple feature,
Oh,
and
I was just gonna bring that up, and I was trying to think. I'm like, I think it was Elm Street Friday and the Jason, but then I'm like, was it Jason X? No, I was just thinking about that one. I remember
yeah,
seeing that at Best Buy all the time. That's kind of cool, actually.
yeah. You can still get it online really cheap from Amazon if anybody just wants it to have it, you know.
But I
But
feel
yeah,
like
it's got.
the images look really cool together. Like I just like that
Well, they
the way
do.
that they
Yeah,
look together. Yeah.
yeah. There's nothing wrong with this. This is for somebody that's just wanting to own the films. They're all separate discs, so there's this will get you by no problem. And yeah, so I have that. Then it's
That's a unique one.
these came out before the box set. So this is the German Blu-rays. 84 Entertainment is a company. They've done 1 through 8. Actually, they've done 1 through Jason X. They might have done a Freddy vs. Jason one, but they did multi variants. They're always limited and they sell out like hotcakes. This is a variant of Jason Takes Manhattan, and this is the one I got. I got this off Diabolic DVD, and
Wow.
at the time, this was the best. There was always this rumor and speculation that the Blu-rays of Friday the 13th from Paramount were upscaled 720p's. I could never obviously prove that, and there may be a way to prove that. It was just a rumor. But when I would watch this movie on Blu-ray, I did feel like the image was a little bit better than the Blu-rays that from Paramount, not the Scream Factory one. But so I got that. And this one, I recorded a video for this back in July. I still haven't posted it. I'll probably just save it Friday the 13th at this point.
Yeah, you
But
probably should.
this is one of the variants that they did.
Wow.
This is a media book for part 2, and it's actually squishy. This material is really weird.
What's the bag?
A friend of
Wow.
It's a bag, part 2. And here, this is the slip. So they did a variant like this for all of them. And there was actually, they made a box set. They sold a licensed box set, 88 Films did, for all the movies if you got them all. I think Pizzow has the actual box set. If not, he just has a bunch of these. But this is cool. Oh, my discs are falling out. This one has a special
I didn't
bonus
even
disc.
know those existed, to be honest.
Yeah.
Wow.
Actually, it's just 3 discs. And
Wow.
it's a bunch of, obviously I can't read it, but yeah, these are really cool. They did a great job. They did this really cool one. Have you ever seen the foreign VHS of Friday the 13th 3 where it's this hockey mask guy with it looks like the hockey mask from the novel of part 3, where it kind of looks like a real goalie
it's like
hockey mask.
blue. It's like a bluish looking one.
And you can see this guy's hair a little bit. Like they did one of those media books with that. They did some amazing stuff. 88 Films. So that's 2 of them that I have. They're kind of hard to get now. They also did those with. It might have been a different company, but they did those for Elm Street, and they actually have a box set that they did of the Elm Street films, but impossible to get at a reasonable. Just impossible.
Because I think this came out next before Scream Factory. You can correct me if I'm wrong. It's the Crystal Lake doc, which in my opinion is still like one of my favorite docs ever.
Yeah, I couldn't find mine. I was looking up. It's in here somewhere, but I'm glad you brought it out.
Yeah, this one, and this is actually pretty cool because I bought this from where the hell did I get this? I got this from Dark Delicacies. They did like this huge signing. So it's hard to see, but if you look at it, like, dude, this must have like it's got the front, the back, the inside. I mean, there's signatures everywhere on this thing. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 discs. I love this thing, man. This and the Elm Street. I actually do like the Elm Street one better, but I love this so much. This is one that I like. it's comforting to me. If I'm doing stuff around here, like organizing, I'll throw this or the Elm Street one on and just let it play.
Yeah.
And fantastic documentary if anybody hasn't seen it.
That came out in 2013. So right around the time the box set came out.
Yeah. So amazing. And I know you have it, and it's just one of those things that if people haven't seen it, it's well worth trying to track down. I don't know, how easy it is to obtain now. It might have a DVD as well as a Blu-ray. That might be easier to get. I don't know. But
yeah, you can get that. There's a double pack you can get online from 1428 Films of Chris Lake Manhattan and Never Sleep Again Together. You can get that. But there's also 101 Films for people across the pond that put out the documentary as well. So
that's awesome. Now these guys also did they do the I have the Return of Living Dead one. Is that still them, right?
I think it was.
They were at a convention promoting this and they had these with them. So I think there is some kind of correlation between the two.
Cool. That's a great documentary as well, man.
Yeah.
That's probably one of my favorites.
And that's what people don't realize too, is like, and now you can correct me because I haven't really watched the newer one, but this is on the Scream Factory stuff, right? But not the whole thing, right? Like this one gets into all the sequels too. I don't think that one did it?
No, what they did was they put that documentary on part 1 documentary on the 4K and Blu-ray of Return of the Living Dead 1, but they took the They Won't Stay Dead 29 documentary that's on the DVD. They took that and put it on Return of the Living Dead Part 2 as a special feature as well. So if you buy Part 2, you'll get there's the documentary for Part 1 that's obviously more brains, but then there's the 29-minute documentary for Part 2. They throw that on Return of the Living Dead 2 Steelbook Scream Factory release, and then they throw the Love from Beyond the Grave onto the Vestron from Part 3. So all Scream Factory and Vestron licensed out the bits and pieces that they needed
of this.
Yeah.
So, but like I even remember this was talking about Grave to the Grave and everything. Now is that ported over?
No, the stuff about the latter sequels, no. Just the stuff that has to do with the actual movies, respectively, that they throw on.
Yeah.
There.
Well, that's like the Brewster documentary. Like they have it on some of the Fright Night stuff now, but if you have the original Brewster documentary, it's a whole Fright Night 2 part 2 that didn't port over to all the other stuff. So it is interesting they did that smart, because then it still gets people to want to get this edition, knowing that there's more footage that they're not seeing on their standalone, Fright Nights or Return of the Living Dead edition. So I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, great documentaries by that company that did these between this, Elm Street, and Friday. So good. And now I guess it brings us, it's got to, right, to Scream Factory.
Yeah, just really quick, I don't even know if you wanted to talk about this, but this is the TV series.
I got them. Just in case. I knew we were going to probably bring them up. I just got these ones. I see you got the box, though.
Yeah, I got the box set when it came to Walmart, and I thought it was really cool. They put a stress look on it, and it's the same thing.
The same? Is this the same? Are these inside, or is it like a big box?
No, it's just a big box with the same art on it. So I had already bought the separate seasons, but because I have an addiction, I got this as well. And what I really like is on the inside, they give you the name of each episode. That's from cool. Disc 1, Disc 2, and stuff. And they even got a picture of the cast in there. That's cool. I like the show, and I have no problem admitting it. This show is better than Freddy's Nightmares, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah. I think it is, too.
So, but I tell people, if you're going to grab one or the other, you got to get the Fruity Pebbles. You got to get the separate seasons.
They're nice looking packages, though. Like the colors, like you said, like the images, the brightness of them, like they all really go together. I mean, I think these look great.
Yeah, and what's really cool is they actually have on the front. They take little artifacts from the pawn shop that are in the show. They make skeletons out of them. So, and John D. LeMay, for the people that haven't seen this, from Jason Goes to Hell, got his start with the Friday the 13th from the show. And a lot of famous horror directors directed episodes on this. And I like it a lot. So I always recommend people check out the show. But you can get the box set easily they can get this easy on Amazon, still available, still in print.
All right, the big guy. which I think is still probably one of my favorite releases ever. I think
Yeah.
still. Um, it just looks fantastic. The artwork looks good. You got all the movies in there, housed together with cool artwork and stuff like that. I mean, I there's nothing more I can say about this that I haven't said. I think my first video on YouTube was when I got that. That was my
Y-
first video ever. Was opening and
Yeah.
unboxing that thing, and it came in a real cool box with like you opened up the logo was on the box and stuff. I still have it in my attic, but it was a real cool addition that they set up for that. It was just unbelievable.
It was a disaster though when it
I
came
know
out.
because of all the because of
People
the
got mad
discs
at
and all that
me.
other shit.
I did a video like maybe 5, 6 months ago where I sat down on my couch and I was like, let me tell you guys what happened for the people that don't remember. And people were like, dude, like, what are you doing? I'm like, no, it's a great box set, but like, this is what happens in physical media. It was a train wreck. People were getting 2-part 4s. They left out stuff on Jason Goes to Hell. There was an audio issue on Jason X. There was a 3D issue on part 3. So they had to issue everybody discs, but you had to go to a website and you had to put all your personal information on the website. And then you submitted it. That you didn't get a verification email. But magically the discs would show up to your house. And people were mad about that. It was kind of a disaster, but once the dust had settled, then everybody was like, okay, this is an amazing box set.
Mhm.
And they found Carl Fullerton's effects reel from part 2. Literally, I think Peter Bracke said it was 3 days before discs went into production. So they found that stuff at the very last minute, and they managed to get that on there. So I mean, to me, that was the tail. That was the despite the issues, to me, that was the bookend of the golden era of Scream Factory.
Very well could have been. I mean, and it's funny when you open that box because I keep all the replacement discs like in the side or whatever. So like I'd open the thing and you'll always see like that paper sleeve. And I usually take the bad disc and put it in there just for nostalgic purposes of like so it shows which discs were bad. This was before they made you like destroy shit or whatever. So it kind of goes through like each one and tells you, oh yeah, this one had a replacement disc, this one had a replacement because I keep the replacement discs in them. So just again, what happens if some of those people didn't fill out that information? They just don't have the replacement discs in their sets.
They don't have they have an un they have a they have a non-finished, unedited, because the thing about Jason Goes to Hell that was so important was they restored it in 2K, but it was the first time the movie was ever going to have a unrated version in high definition, because on the tin set they put the rated version on the Blu-ray, which is kind of unique now because at that point that was the only time you could watch the movie rated, was that Blu-ray. But they gave you the unrated version on the digital code that came with that tin set, which people found out from doing from
Mm-hmm.
doing the code. But they left out the scene where the kid goes outside, the one with the ponytail that works at he's flipping the gun. He thinks he's cool, Mr. Cool. He goes outside when the Bruce Campbell lookalike guy is possessed by Jason, and he goes to stop him. He grabs his hand and bends it back, and then his bone comes popping right out. Boom. That wasn't on the disc. And the crazy thing was the Friday the 13th fans are so rabid and they know the movie so well. Literally within like the first couple hours of the first day that it started arriving to people's houses, the internet was flooded with everybody saying what was wrong, down to the specifics of a 2-second scream in Jason X during the one of the scenes. It might have been the flashback scene where Jason's back in camp. But people are so rabid and they know these movies so well that they caught that the day within a couple hours of the box set being in people's hands.
That
And
is
Scream
wild.
Factory didn't respond. They didn't respond for a couple days about it. Or they do this thing where they say, we're going to look into these allegations sort of things. But what really kind of made me like frustrated was there was a vocal group of people that were like, we shouldn't be complaining. This is a godsend for us to get something like this, blah, blah, blah. But my thing is, if you're going to do Friday the 13th, you have to do it right, because these movies are so important to us, and for people to be able to pick stuff out like that so fast, you have to do it right. You can't. We're paying a lot of money for this, and I
Mhm.
know that they sunk a lot of money to it. But if we're paying a lot of money, I'm not paying a lot of money for you to get close. I'm paying a lot of money to have the complete Friday the 13th collection. So
I
I
mean,
was
but
really
that only
upset when
makes
people
sense,
were
right? Like the expectations, I think, need to be set high, especially nowadays. I
right.
mean, God, that was expensive for when it came out, but I mean, the editions that we're getting now, like, there shouldn't be mistakes. I mean, you're 50, 40, $50 is the norm for some of these editions, right?
Yeah.
So the expectation of this thing being as perfect as possible is I agree needs to be there. Um, but yeah, I do now that you bring it up, I do remember like how much controversy that was causing. But I mean, like for me, I filled it out. They got my replacement disc, all is good. But like now I'm thinking, what about these editions floating around eBay? I mean, imagine trying to like get, but this is still in print, no, or it is, it isn't.
It's still in print. Paramount has no problem now that Paramount licensed Scream Factory to release the Friday the 13th, and I learned this from interviewing Cliff. Paramount licensed Scream Factory to release the movies the way they have that box set. Scream Factory cannot do individual releases, and as a matter of fact, just the way they had to buy the Rob Zombie films to put into the Halloween Complete collection, for them to still put out the box set, Scream Factory is not licensing Freddy's Dead, or Jason X, or yeah, they're not licensing. Excuse me. They did their own scans for Jason X and Jason Goes to Hell, but Freddy versus Jason, the disc, Scream Factory has to literally just buy discs from Warner Brothers to
Mhm.
put in their box set. They're not doing their own discs for that. So the way that box set is set up from Scream Factory, they're able to keep that in print because Paramount is doing their different kind of box sets and offering a more retail friendly version, which is the Paramount 8s that they did and things like that. So the
Well,
licenses
that's
are
why.
so specific.
You know how many people bought multiple boxes of this because they were like, "Well, this is I'm gonna be able to pay for both of these because Halloween was, going for so much money." But everybody bought multiples of these Fridays and they can't get rid of them because they never went out of print the same way Halloween did. So it's like because, like you said, if they have the rights for X amount of time to keep these the way that they are, then a lot of those people that bought multiple boxes thinking they were going to cheat the system they're sitting on them now.
Right.
And another thing too is when they got the replacement discs, did they get them for all their editions or some of theirs incomplete? Right? Like, there's so many different things out there, and like these new ones that are coming out. Like, let's say you order from Amazon now. Are you getting the new discs in there?
Oh, by far, yes.
You got to
Yeah,
be
that
right.
yeah. I think it was probably resolved probably after the first quarter of them being out that the discs were probably fixed.
But there's got to be first pressings out there that don't have the original the replaced discs in there.
Yeah, because some people, I'm just gonna call a spade a spade. Some people buy these and they don't watch them, so they're not that really bothered by it. So
Mhm.
maybe they just collect them, and that's fine. I'm not judging. Like I can't. I How am I to make fun of people that don't watch these when I have 1,000 copies of all these movies? But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, by probably the after the first quarter of this being out, the discs and stuff, the manufacturing was updated and things like that, and they probably put a halt on shipping out units until they fix the discs and stuff. So yeah, if you bought it now, of course you're fine, and I recommend people get it. It's still
Oh,
it's a perfect box set now, as good as you can make it. So
now after this, I kind of like to me this was like this is my end all be all for a long time with this franchise. But there have been more releases since then, and I know the steelbooks were a big one. I think that they look great. I love that when they use the real artwork, the original artwork on steelbooks. I think that looks fantastic. I know you were grabbing them; they were coming out once a year. I don't know the status of those. They also released a 4K, which I passed on originally, but then they released that 4K with the slip steelbook, and I was like, you know what, just gonna get it. So this is the only thing I have that came out after um, that box set. So
yeah,
I mean,
and
these are
this is the
nice.
Waxwork. Yeah, this is the Waxworks Records vinyl
Mhm.
artwork that they did a special with. You could buy the vinyl and the 4K together. And this was awesome because they allowed you to buy this on Amazon without having to buy the vinyl, of course. But yeah, they did that. They put out the first movie on 4K Well, before that, they put out before all that, Paramount probably 3 months after Scream Factory's box set was available and out, Paramount announced that they were going to do their own Blu-ray set of the first 8 movies, and they were going to utilize the scans that Scream Factory got done for the first 4. And that's what this is. So this came out in 2021. So this is the Paramount 8 movie collection, which infamously has 3 images of part 7 and only one in an image of part 2, which it's so like, I get it. People are like, man, what's up with that? And I'm just like, man, I love part 7. What's the problem?
That's I see. I don't even remember that edition coming out at all.
Yeah. So
That's wild.
And what happened was I didn't buy this when it was announced, and it was Christmas 2021. And I just happened to go on Amazon and I was just typing Friday the 13th, and this went on sale for $19.99. And I bought it, and I remember sharing it on YouTube, like, hey guys, if you want this, it's on sale for $20. And within like an hour, it shot back up to like 50 bucks.
Wow.
They released this, and this is fun. I mean, it's
how are
one
they
thing
stacked in there? Just in flaps?
Yeah, they did a good job.
Oh wow,
they did a really good job, and it's a blood red case.
That's cool.
Yeah. So they put this out, and the movies look great because it's the same scans that they did for the Scream Factory 1 through 4, but the disc menus on these were different from all the previous regular Paramount ones, and these disc menus I think are better than the Scream Factory ones. These disc menus for the first 4 look really, really cool. And in tandem with that, they released this, which I was super happy to get. This is the steelbook version of that, which has Jason Takes Manhattan in some kind of lake, I guess, with a perfectly pressed collared shirt. But then again, his collar was perfectly pressed in that. And in this set, it came with
that's
some
wild.
cards.
I don't remember that either. Like I must have literally been way out of the loop and be like, I'm not doing any more Friday stuff because I don't remember either of these things.
Yeah, I was super excited about this because they put Roy Burns on the back with bloodshed everywhere.
Well, it's good that he's that color because you don't know what color those chevrons are under there.
I don't remember what the inside of this looked like. Oh, okay. This isn't as good. It's stacked discs.
Stacked up.
Let me pull these out just so you could see. What they did is they made blood red collages of the posters.
Oh, that's cool.
Behind there. And when this set came out, this was considered like the special version. The other one I just showed you was kind of just like, it didn't have a slipcover. It just came out like that. But this one came with these collector's cards that have pictures of the movies.
Oh, that's cool. Those look nice.
And yeah, they're cool. And there's one for each movie. So I got that when it came out. So that's cool. And then there's just the steelbooks, which you said you kind of checked out on. And it was basically Paramount's way of just capitalizing on the new scans, really. That's what it was.
And I know a lot of fans that were collecting those, they were doing them like once a year. So fans were kind of like, well, let's keep going because I don't want just the first 4, right? So I don't know what's the plan here.
So from what I understand is, well, the interesting thing about this too is, so there's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I took the hype stickers that were on the shrink wrap and I put them on my steelbooks. Like I said, as you can see, they were utilizing the new scan, so you can see that they got newly remastered for Blu-ray. But what's interesting is, I don't know why they did this, and they swapped back to it. You can see one of them looks a little odd. All of these are glossy, but for some reason they did part 2 in matte, which I'm a big fan of matte black. So they did part 2 in matte black, and it sticks out like a sore thumb compared to the rest of them because it's not super shiny like the rest of them. And they use the same exact steelbook case for the 4K, no difference at all. From what I understand, they're not going to do steelbooks for 5 through 8. I'm not better than anybody. I don't gonna act like I know people, but I do talk to some people that I feel
What do you got,
like
sources?
they're not lying to me. And from what I understand, Paramount is gonna release. Paramount is putting part two. From what I understand, from what I was told, Paramount put out part two in the Paramount Scares box set because apparently part one didn't sell as well as they wanted it to. But the Paramount Scares box set last year sold really well. So the way they were able to put part two out on 4K was this box set, the Paramount Scares box set. But I really feel like they're gonna put part two out on 4K separately for those that don't want to buy the box set. And you
They
can
will.
but from what I understand, the person who is in charge of home video for Paramount is a big Friday the 13th fan. So from what I was told, knock on wood, they're going to do the Friday movies on 4K and it's not going to take years. I think they're abandoning the steelbooks because, well, I say abandon, they were utilizing the new scans. And you can see based on the evidence, those stickers prove that, like, hey, it looks even better now. So that's the reason they stopped at 4. Although everybody was waiting with bated breath to get a steelbook of part 5 with the VHS artwork, which never happened. And they
I know
didn't
that would
wait
have been sick.
yearly after part 2. Part 3 and 4 came very quick within 6 months of each other because they just wanted to crank them out. So part 4 came out in January of 2022, I think. Might have been 23, but it wasn't anniversaries. They just shoved the 3 and 4 out very fast. And of course,
So I
there's
mean
that.
that pretty much. Oh, you have the standard 4K as well?
Yeah, of
Slip one?
course. Yeah.
Wow. So I mean that's pretty much it, except there's one more I think that's newest, and that's the Arrow remake. I ordered mine. Mine is not here still. Um, so I don't know why, but it seems like people are getting theirs in.
Yeah, I don't
And
know.
I love that artwork. I mean, that's a Gary Pullen joint. I mean,
They
great
did it.
image. I love that.
Yeah, they did a sensational job, and there's something so crazy about seeing this with the arrow
Arrow. Yeah, it
rainbow at the
does. You're
bottom.
right.
But I love this movie. I get a lot of shit for it. I think out of the big four, well, out of the big four remakes, Halloween, Friday, Nightmare, and Texas, this is my favorite one. I think the Jason in this movie is 10 out of 10. Say what you want about the characters and all that. I think the opening scene of this movie is some of the best Friday the 13th stuff in this entire series. And I think Derek is awesome. So I
Yeah.
love this movie so much. And it was a good 4K. It looked really good, but the special features are out of this world. And Marcus Nispel shed a lot of light on this movie. And there's a narrative about this movie that people have that, based on watching the film, I understand how people could get. God knows I've probably talked out of my ass a lot, but he sheds a lot of light on the production and what happened on this movie. And he was not checked out making this. I've heard people say that so often, that he was checked out making this is bullshit. I don't want to spoil it because you haven't seen the special features. I don't want, but he tells the story, and it's a good release. And I'm
Well,
so
is there
happy that
anything
Arrow did it.
said, or is it just a rights thing where why like there was never a follow up to that? Like why it had to have done pretty well, right? Like I remember, so I talked to Derek at a convention, like probably within a couple weeks before that was released, and man, I remember my exact words to him was like, "Hey man, it's my favorite big three of the franchise. You know, I can't wait to check it out. I hope." And he's like, "Oh, I hope I do it right." And he's like, it was great, and you know, I'm just so lucky that I can take Jason Voorhees and push him to the future, and you know, get younger generations really involved in the franchise." And he's like, it's a huge role for me, and it's something that I literally, you know, grew up wishing someday that could be the case. And I was like so excited for him to be like, "Oh wow, imagine signing a deal," or his assumption was there was going to be more at that point. Like the way he was talking to me was like, this isn't it. Like there's going to be multiple of these. And then all of a sudden that never happened. And the poor bastard then signed on to be Swamp Thing, probably figured, okay, this is a good role. Canceled. Like I
Canceled.
just feel like, and he's such a nice guy. Like, you know, I've
Amazing.
talked to him a couple times, and man, he was so just polite and excited, and really just loves the genre. And it's sad to see that a guy that's got that look and such a great dude, just, had great roles that just happened not to work out. And, did they ever explain anything about why that just kind of fell to the wayside? And
So if you look at the back of this, you'll notice a couple things. You'll notice look at the bottom left, you see Arrow, you see Warner Brothers, you see New Line, you see Paramount. So at this time, Paramount was still holding their license for the term Friday the 13th. They eventually lost it because you can't. I think there's a law about keeping a property dormant for so long. I could be off on this, but from what I understand, there was a point to where Paramount had to put up or shut up. And this was around the time they were trying to make that TV show in 2017 where they leaked the images of the masks and stuff. And they eventually lost it. Now Warner Brothers has all of it. So if you go buy a Friday the 13th shirt at Walmart right now, it's going to say Warner Brothers. It's going to say Friday the 13th on it. Like this shirt is a 2024 shirt. It says Warner Brothers on the tag, not Paramount, Warner Brothers. So what happened was New Line wanted to make a remake at the time, and Platinum Dunes was the guys to make movies. Michael Bay and those guys, they ruled the world. And so New Line says, oh, well, we have the rights to Jason. Let's do the movie. So I remember watching an interview with one of the guys that runs Platinum Dunes, and he was talking about they were prepping pre-production. They casted everybody. They were getting ready to start working on the movie. And all of a sudden, lawyers from Paramount call up New Line and says, you realize we own Friday the 13th, right? And New Line was like, oh, shit. They had already hired everybody. They'd already cast everybody. So there was a deal made. Paramount got involved. They would have the money overseas and the rights to the film overseas and the distribution of the movie overseas. And New Line and Platinum Dunes or whatever, they had the American. So if you bought the DVD in America, the back of the DVD will say it'll say Paramount and New Line. But here's a tidbit, and this is something I need to get from my collection. You get this collection overseas, the UK version. It's a 9-movie collection. It's Friday the 13th, 1 through 8, and it has the remake as well. Because Paramount has the rights to the movie overseas around the world, and that was part of their deal. So that's actually something I need to get for my collection as well, because that makes it a little bit different. So that's what happened. We got the only way a Jason movie was able to happen with all the licensing crap was New Line. Those guys were like, fuck it, let's just make it. Let's just start making it, because what's going to happen? And so they managed to make a deal happen. Whereas if they would have tried to start making the movie happen with involving Paramount from day one, we would not be talking about 2009, because it wouldn't have happened, because there's no way they would have agreed, because we see.
So you're saying that when he was excited about like doing multiple ones, it was either he had false hope or he was just bullshitting. Like at that point, this should have been known that this was it.
Well, I mean, if you think about it that way, yeah, the movie got made because of ignorance on New Line's part and just going ahead with it. And then it was almost like, hey, we got to work something out. We've already hired this many people. We've already scouted, blah, blah, blah. So by the time that movie comes out and it was successful, even for a two studio party, yeah, it was very successful. But okay, let's go back to the drawing board for a sequel. Let's negotiate. Not happening. They were not going to agree on a goddamn thing. New Line would have said, hey, we spearheaded this. We deserve 60% of the pie, blah, blah. It would have been a disaster. And there might have been talks of them going to the drawing board. Nothing that we would have heard about, but that there was not going to be another one. They were not going to agree on the terms or anything like that. So
how sad though that the franchise has been in such a limbo for so long.
Yeah, and nobody
money
wants
maker, they can't figure shit out, right?
Yeah, nobody wants it. I'll say it. Like, yeah, I'm gonna watch it, but nobody's interested in this TV show. It's already off the rails, and I don't think anybody's excited for it. Everybody wants a movie, and I don't know. Hopefully that happens. I think A24 and Friday the 13th is a disaster waiting to happen, in my opinion. I may eat my words, but I'd almost take Blumhouse. I just can't see A24 doing this right. I'd almost rather roll the dice with Jason Blum. I really would. I would say in the opposite when this got announced, but the more that I think about this, I don't see how this works with A24. I really don't.
See, and what sucks is that I'm intrigued by that, but I already know I don't get into shows. So to me, I'm not excited because I'm like, I'll check it out, but I probably won't even watch it unless, and I hate saying that because it really doesn't make a lot of sense. But if you could tell me, do I want a TV show that's going to last X amount of years or a movie that's going to come out? I would choose a movie all day. And I don't know if it's just because of the commitment aspect. I don't know if it's because I don't want to become oversaturated with it. Like, dude, I have not, and you said it's actually good. And I've heard people say that. I haven't watched Chucky at all. I actually watched the first episode. That's it.
It's
And I've never gone back.
yeah. It's pretty good, but it gets really crazy. Season 2 I didn't like. Season 3 is so insane that I like season 3, but it's just like any other show. There's good episodes and there's bad episodes. And the second you watch a bad episode, or the second watching TV shows is like people that try to start working out. You're in it, but the first time it rains and you don't go to the gym, that's your last time going to the gym for so many people.
Mhm.
And it's the same thing with people watching TV shows. The second you take a break and don't watch it for a few days, you're done.
That's kind
It's
of true because I mean, I went into it like I was gonna watch it, and then all of a sudden, like, work came up or whatever. I had a show, missed the next 2 weeks, and I was like, "Ah, fuck it." Like, and now it's at a point where I love Chucky, but I'm afraid to be too saturated with him, where if they do announce a movie, not be as hyped for it than if because I see him every week. But I don't know. I'm intrigued, but I would rather have a movie all day. Um,
Well, what
100%.
I hope is that if I hope that they just do an episode a week, like the old, because we're from the old school where we had to wait every week to see something. If they do it like that, I think it's a lot more manageable. And I think that streaming sites, if they're not stupid, they'll do that, because I was watching Tulsa King, the Stallone show, and they were doing an episode a week. And I like that because you watch an episode and you let it marinate, and you actually get excited to see next week's episode, because this dumping of stuff that Netflix does, it's really ruining us. And ruining us is we take all this stuff for granted. So I hope that they at least do it like that. They'll do an easode a week, because not only will it be easy if you can watch that while you're working out or whatever, and once you're done, you got time to do other stuff. You don't have to worry about keeping up with the Joneses, like, because some people, they got time to watch they got time to watch 20
Right.
episodes in a day.
It is weird
So
though, because I find like the 2 shows that I actually watch is Cobra Kai and Stranger Things, because what I'll do is, like, let's say Cobra Kai comes out on that next Saturday, I said, "This is my fucking whole day right here." And I just plow through the whole thing. And then I'm like, "Okay, done. Saw it. Cool. Don't think about it again." And the same thing with Stranger Things. I probably wouldn't be into it if I had to like chase the episodes. If I know that they're right there and I can just kind of binge the shit out of it, then I'll get that thing done in like 2 days and I'll be like, okay, done. Now I don't have to worry about it anymore. So
yeah.
it is strange because I feel like anything that has to do with a weekly thing, I can't commit to that. And then I get lost and then I don't know. It's strange. Like I think it's just the predictability of it. I agree. I miss those times where you look forward to that. You get home from you go to school the next day and all you do is think about what happened on that show last night and you can't wait to see, what happens next. But I don't know what it is now. I don't know if it's just hecticness of life and something always comes up and it's hard to kind of, I think to myself, okay, well, if every Wednesday is going to be dedicated to Chucky or whatever it is, that means I'm not doing a show that night. And then, okay, if I don't do a show that night, what other nights could I probably fit it in? Then all of a sudden now it's like there's so much that goes through my head like that. It's hard for me to like commit
Oh,
to a
I
weekly,
understand. Yeah,
you know?
I understand that, but like, and maybe I'm just playing this up in my head. Like, I yearn for some stuff that makes me feel like, you know, it's 2004 again or something. Like, I think it
Don't we
would be
all?
fun when the show comes out, if everybody and like maybe us and Dead Pit, maybe we do catch the first episode, and every now and again we do it don't have to be long. We just do like a 30-40 minute show live stream where we talk about the episode and we speculate on what do you think they're going to do
Oh
next,
yeah,
because
that's actually a pretty cool idea. Yeah.
that's what we
Hmm.
used to do back. Like, it's like, oh my God, they put they put Stone Cold on a cross.
Mhm.
How is he going to stop, man, next week? And we just talked about it and talked about it, and then finally the next week we saw what happened, and eventually it's a beer truck. So I'm maybe I'm
I like what
sensational.
you're saying. I like that though. I think that would be a cool concept, right? You start coming up with different stories in your head the next week, like, oh, you were right, or not, nothing we said happened, and it went this way. I
Yeah,
mean, I think that's intriguing too. Yeah, for sure. If you made it something, right? Like if I had a reason to watch it and a reason to know, okay, every Wednesday I'm going to do this, then right after we're going to do a show. Like it feels like it's part of a job kind of at that point where it's like, okay, I can commit to this now because it's going to involve this plus, everybody else as well, expecting me to have seen it. So I think I would do better in that situation for
yeah.
sure. Than just kind of winging it and be like, I guess I'll try to fit it in somewhere.
I
If
mean,
I have a reason to do it, I think it'd be easier for me.
yeah, and to finalize that, it's just like, we talk about, we have, look at all the Friday the 13th stuff we've gone through. It's just like, man, if I don't take it for granted, and even if I'm not excited for a TV show, if it's Jason related and it happens, man, let's live in the moment and enjoy it, because it's gonna be over before we know it again, and then we're gonna be sitting in limbo. So I don't know.
Mhm. I
I'm
agree.
not excited, but at the same time, when it gets
I miss
here,
I miss
you
him.
know,
I'll say that. I really do. I miss seeing Jason on the big screen. I miss
yeah,
again. I brought a couple things out here, and I know we do mostly home video, but I'm like, well, if we're talking physical media, maybe I can show some stuff. If you have anything laying around, you can throw it up. I said I wanted to keep this about an hour. We're at 2 hours, right? So I want to fly through this really quick. I'll just showcase a couple things I have here, and if you have anything else around, like again, I have a novel for what's this one, part 2. I've got the memories book.
yeah.
Um, you know, I got the NES game. This thing was I got this for
Best
my birthday
soundtrack.
from my
It's so
aunt.
haunting. The soundtrack, I love
Love
it.
it. Love it. Cassette tape, a final chapter.
Oh, is
I
that the?
got the
Oh, is that
TerraVision.
the Commodore game?
No, 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 no. This is
Because that was a cassette tape.
yeah, no, this is actually TerraVision put this out a couple years ago.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
so I snagged that. This is
Okay,
the last video game I loved. So
the
this is the
best.
Friday 13th. I loved
The
it, man. I never could get
fucking
anything after
best.
that. And then I have just really quick, I have all the Waxworks. Um,
Yeah,
I
I
don't know if
just
you have
finished
all
mine
of
a
them
while
too.
ago. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I got they're really nice looking actually. So that was Manhattan. Was that Manhattan? Yeah, then you
Yeah,
got
that
this
was.
bad boy. Um, but yeah, these are cool.
I've
You
got
got
some of those.
lives.
Some of mine are FYE variants, because
Oh, they
that's
have
where I
different
got
art.
some of mine. The vinyl's different on some of
Oh, the
them.
coloring and stuff. See,
Yeah, it's just
I bought this one and I bought there was a lenticular one as
yeah.
well. I sold that thing for big money, but luckily I had that one. And then this is a weird looking one, and then
Yeah, I don't love
the
the
one
art
that
on
we
that one.
so it's the classic like slipcover one that we got over there. But yeah, I just figured I'd throw a couple other physical media related shit out there just as like a bonus. But
Here, I'll show
um,
you this one thing. I'm not gonna, because we've gone a long time.
yeah,
This is the
woo,
2012
that
mini
the
Gimme.
Spencer baby.
No, 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 no. This was from this. You could have got this at Walgreens or Kmart at the time, and he still works. Me and
So
Sydney, you
that
ready for this? Me and Sydney got this. So this came out around 2009. These all go for big money now. We went on in 2012. We went to Kmart.com and ordered this one and the J and the Freddy one. And I'll just show you really quick.
so wait, those aren't the those weren't a, those are different than the Spencer ones.
Well,
Those are sweet, dude.
yeah, you're talking about the plushed ones. You're talking
Well,
about the
I remember maybe it wasn't Spencer, but I do remember they came out with like these ones like that. They were in black boxes, very similar to the Freddy one that I had. Maybe it
yeah.
was a plus ones.
Yeah, you're talking about. Are you talking about like you're talking about those, right? You see the Michael Myers one I have right there.
Yes,
That's
that's
the
what. Oh
Spencer's
yeah, yeah.
ones.
Okay,
Yeah,
those ones. I
those.
don't know what these are.
Yeah, these are from 2009. This is the Freddy one. This is the Jason one. So we got these off of Kmart.com in 2012. They did a Rob Zombie's Michael Myers, which goes for like $200. They have a Ghostface one. They have a Chucky one. And I have Ghostface, but he's damaged. But I have him. But I have these two, and I got Freddy and Sydney got Jason.
Those are awesome.
And I wish I would have kept the boxes. They had kind of open boxes where it was like a base and the backing, and they would sit in there. And yeah, these are really cool. These are really vintage, but they're from 2009. And I want to get the Rob Zombie one. You ought to look it up. They're so cool. They're nice sized. They're not too
Gemmy,
big.
you said like Gemmy, like the people who do the animatronics, basically.
Yeah, Gemmy. It says Gemmy Industries. It doesn't have a year, but yeah, it's Gemmy. But these are really cool. This is when Gemmy was still a good company, because now all the I mean, no disrespect, people, but the animatronics today you get at the stores, Spirit and stuff, they're garbage. Back in the day, they made real animatronics, nice stuff, and they had the remake of Elm Street. Say what you will about the look of Freddy and that, but the animatronic they made for the 2010 Freddy, that was an animatronic. That thing looked like exactly like him, and they were built, because now it's PVC pipes and you have to stuff them. But back then they had plates and stuff. I have a shed that has, shed.
Didn't you have to like push them down or something? They like shrunk
compressed
them?
in. Yeah. I have Lecter, Ghostface, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, all in the shed, and I don't have any room for them anymore. So I used to have them in my room, but I had to get rid of them. But
wait a minute. That's so funny. Did you, like, I may have came across your stuff somewhere a long time ago, because I can remember like looking at, I don't know if it were those in the magazine, or would it be on Facebook maybe? Because I remember looking at pictures of somebody who had like a bedroom, and there was all like animatronics kind of in this little, like, looked like a little like door frame. Would that have been you?
No, I know the video you're referencing.
Oh, okay.
But no, that wasn't me. That'd have
been wild.
Yeah, these are cool. You can go online and look for these. I don't know if they're collectible. I'm sure there's actually, the Rob Zombie one is so much money for some reason. I want it so bad. But I got Freddy.
Yeah, because I think it was just, having a Rob Zombie version of Myers is rare. Like my friend Dennis, he collects animatronics. It's insane. You should see his shit. It's unreal. Like, if you follow him on TikTok, he goes by D's Animatronics. And I mean, this guy's house, I'm like, I need to come over and just walk around and film. His basement just looks like a people like everywhere. He's got everything. It's insane. He just got recently the Rob Zombie Halloween one, and he's like, this is one I've been after for so long, but it's so expensive. It looks so real, super realistic. It's got the brown overalls or whatever on it, the gray face.
That's one of the best animatronics of all time, is the Rob Zombie one. The face is, and he's got the eyes too, and the eyes they move around. It's really good.
Cool. Yeah. I remember I went to the Dollar Tree down near where I am, and all of a sudden I'm like getting ready to check out. It's Halloween, and that they had that in the corner of the place. I'm like, what the fuck? So I go over, I'm like, can I talk to a manager? They're like, hold on. I'm like, what's up with this Michael Myers animatronic? He goes, oh, that's mine. He goes, I bring it in on Halloween and display it in the store. And I'm like, oh, like, I thought it was for sale. I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, well, if you ever want to get rid of it, let me know or whatever. But yeah, he would bring it in every year and just like display it in the store.
That's amazing.
He's like the manager. But yeah, man, I mean, thank you so much for coming on. Like I said, we went over like an hour. I didn't know we were going to get so deep into this, but it's good because I think there was a lot of nuggets in here. I saw some stuff I haven't seen before, and I think that people like to hear a lot of this physical media history. And again, it gets people itching to go back and buy some of this old stuff. And what a better time to do it is for 2024, Friday the 13th. So, man, thank you so much for being on here.
Thank you for having me on. I can always talk Friday.
Oh man, it's been great. And I don't really think we missed many editions out there. So, which is even cooler between the two of us to be able to have more or less 90% of what we talked about is really, really cool. But is there anything coming up on your channel for Friday the 13th? You said you might drop a couple vids.
Safe bet. I have a video going over that media book of part 2 today, but I don't know. I figure stuff out on the fly, so maybe something else came out of me. Just go to my channel, Planet CHH. I'm sure there's something Friday the 13th on there. There will be. Scott is my witness. There will be. I just don't know if I have more than one thing coming out or not. So
just do a. I mean, I'm sure you've done it, but maybe it's been a while. Have you ever done like a full bust collection, like showcase?
I
'Cause your
have.
busts are sick, dude.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, 2 years ago, I did covers of songs from each movie, and I took my nice DSLR and I'll have to link you to that video if you haven't seen it. It's really cool.
Well,
My
I'll link it
goal
to this video too in the description, so people want to check it out.
You know what? Maybe I'll redo it because I do have my big Jason Takes Manhattan, and I'll redo it and film some cool stuff. But yeah, I need to get a Freddy versus Jason bust, and I need to get a Uber Jason bust. That's my goal, is to have an Uber Jason bust. I don't have one. I know a couple people that make them, but my wife's gonna kill me if I get another one. But my goal was always to have a life-size Jason Takes Manhattan, but I compromised because I have too much movies in here. So the half torso I got from Devil's Latex it's good enough for me. And it's amazing when you walk in here. If for some reason you ever came to visit me, if you walked in here, the second you walk in here, he'll grab, because it's a motherfucker on the shelf, dude. He's all chest. It's a big ass chest with a Jason. It'll grab your attention the second you walk in here because it's so fucking big.
I love those things, man. Sadly, I don't have any. I don't have any busts. I've always wanted them. I don't have the room for them. But they in person, like even just looking at the one back there, I'm like, man, your part 3 is freaking insane too. Like,
yeah.
So I would love to see you do some videos on those suckers.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do an updated version again. But this is probably one of the nicest.
Dude. Holy shit! There he is.
Yeah. And yeah, I think this is a Pizzle mask. But yeah, this part 3 is probably one of the best masks, best busts I have. And he's on a big base. But the skin tones are insane. It looks like human flesh. So
sick. So sick. So yeah, get to work on that, Christian, will you?
Yeah, I'll probably do a new version. I'm gonna see if I can. I need to go online and see if I can find like maybe a Freddy versus Jason bust or something. I have to order it now. If I do, that way I can at least have something new for the video. But I've got one of the best Jason bust collections on YouTube, I think. And there's some guys out there that still wipe the floor with me, but I've got a pretty good one.
This is the problem now. I'm talking about trying to get a couple DVDs, and we're about to end the show, and you're thinking about pressing purchase on a bust. So we better end now before we start, spending more money before the night is over.
Yeah.
All right, man. So guys, thank you for checking this out. This is Garrett, Born to Be Rad, and like always, stay rad.
Happy Friday the 13th.